All right, good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to see all of you here. I'm also very happy it's today and no longer yesterday. So when the things are actually happening, it feels a lot better. I'm happy to see all of you here today. Many faces I know, also many names I know, but faces I don't know, and all kinds of combined mixtures of that. There are very many of you, and this is not a surprise anymore because I knew you were coming, but it was a surprise originally when we started this, when in 2017, I think Nico Carpentier, who's there, and I had the idea of organizing a discourse theory event in Brussels with our Desire research group. Well, Nico had the idea and then told me about it. And anyway, we had the idea, we'll say we had the idea, to organize a discourse theory event in Brussels. We were thinking about something small, and the colleagues from the Desire research group, people from Ljubljana, Thessaloniki, and Essex, they agreed, something small, cozy, focused, and let's do it. So we thought a bunch of people from our Desire research group, a few other interesting people around a big table in this Palace of the Academies, no parallel panels, absolutely no parallel panels, and a nice dinner in the evening in a restaurant, cozy, this kind of thing. Well, so I was not, me personally, I wasn't just thinking about something small, I was very determined to do something small. There was no way I was going to organize a conference. But then it happened anyway. So, and you are here today, so apparently it worked, kind of. So we invited Desire members to submit expressions of interest, and there were quite a bit more than we expected already at that moment. But still, we thought we need to make an open call to invite people we don't actually know, not just us among ourselves. Let's invite other people we don't know and have a discussion about that. And that sounded right, so we will send out an external call for papers, and then we did. And then we started receiving abstracts, and it went quite well. And then more, and that, a bit more than we expected. And then as these things go, the day before the deadline, you receive a lot. The day of the deadline, you receive more. And the day after the deadline, you receive even more. So, and then, we received a lot of papers, and I should have known Brussels on the 6th and 7th, or 7th and 8th of February, this is really the place where people want to be. Anyway, so we just went through the list of people who applied and thought, well, there are really a lot of people that we would like to have around our big table. And then we read all the abstracts also of the people we didn't know, and it turned out, well, there are a lot more people we would like to have around our table. And so we had to give up on the idea of everyone around a big table, because there are no tables as big as that. There just are no tables like that. Then I Googled biggest table in the world. There are a lot bigger tables than this, actually. I also found other things. I found a photo of the world's largest picnic table, huge table. Also a very strange photo of a really big rabbit sitting at the table like a person on a chair, very strange. And then somehow also really big pizzas. And a very, very big plate of hummus, really disgusting photograph. Anyway, this was me, So we told the Royal Flemish Academy of Belgium that one room wouldn't do and we'd need a bit more. And then we went through all the abstracts again and started to make a selection. And it turned out that even if we just wanted to keep all the best papers, it still would be too much. So we really had to disappoint even people we would have really liked to be here. So that was not so nice. But the result is, of course, that we have, I think, a very good program that we, as organizers, are very, very happy with. It's a program that shows the broad interest in discourse theory from very diverse fields. It shows the relevance of discourse theory to the study of very diverse topics. And it also shows, and this we find quite important, that this is a field that's also willing to reflect on what works well, what we like about the things we do, but also what needs to be improved, what changes need to be made, and how we need to engage maybe with other things, dialogues with other fields, and so on and so on. And one of the things that's quite problematic in discourse theory, as it is in many other fields as well, is the gender imbalances. Putting together this conference, this became very obvious. Not only is there a bit less interest from women in the call for papers than from men, but the problem really starts when you start to think about who are we going to ask as a keynote speaker, as a plenary speaker, who is going to, the more prominent positions. Then the problem really starts, which is, of course, a classic in gender imbalances in academia and beyond. So we tried to deal with this as well as we could, but still the program is in that sense a bit less balanced than we would have liked. And so we also thought it would be important, also inspired by Emilia Palonen's initiative on women in populism research, that many of you know, I think. We decided to also organize a roundtable on women in discourse studies and populism research to address this issue and see what we can do about this, because this is really a problem. This will be tonight after the last parallel session. As the title of this conference, Discourse Theory Ways Forward, indicates, it is the explicit aim of the entire conference to not only bring people together who are working on discourse theory, but also to think critically and constructively about the directions our work should take. And for that reason, we have organized the program around 4 main tracks: populist politics and discourses about populism, discursive perspectives on political economy, the relations between the discursive and the material, and visuality. So as to the populism topic, discourse theory's major role in the study of populism is quite obvious, and there's a lot of interest in this topic also at this conference. At the same time, we also want to really reflect on how Laclau's original theory of populism what we might need to adapt about it, how we need to complement it, how it can be operationalized maybe in different ways. And so we'd also have a question where we don't only applaud ourselves, hopefully, but also ask critical questions about what we are doing and how we might need to change things or to develop things further. Secondly, the second topic is the political economy. So the economy and the profoundly political nature of that economy has been a major concern within discourse theory. And this track in the program draws on discourse theory to analyze things such as labor markets, austerity politics, but also to develop more discourse theory's theoretical contributions to political economy. So that's the second track. The third track is the relation between the discursive and the material. This has arisen in the last years as one of the major areas of theoretical discussion, and this conference wants to take stock of that discussion and see where it can take us. These discussions, of course, take us to the very core of discourse theoretical ontology, and they imply very important methodological questions as well. This is also the case for the fourth theme, visuality. As all of you know, in discourse theory, the definition of discourse is quite broad, so it's not a problem to deal with visuality. Ontologically, this is not an issue at all. That doesn't mean, however, that discourse theory has actually done much with visuality, or that it has taken into account the specificities of visuality to a large extent. So, on the contrary, this is a field, or this is a domain where major advances are still possible, and we will try to make some steps in that direction. If I hadn't been organizing this conference, I would have really liked to be here. Listen to fascinating papers, talk with some nice colleagues, have a beer in the evening, stress about my PowerPoint that's not ready yet, this kind of thing. But I did organize it. I still want to be here. And I do hope to find some time to listen to all the wonderful work you are doing, talk to you, and have a few beers tonight. We have quite a full program. We will have 2 plenary panels. One this morning and one tomorrow morning, so that's the start of the day. And also tomorrow, as the last panel, we will have a keynote panel with our speakers Ruth Wodak and Michael Frieden, so thank you for being here, whom we've invited to reflect critically and constructively on discourse theory from their positions that are somehow partly related, adjacent to, but not entirely part of discourse theory in the strict sense. It was a very conscious choice to invite people who are close to it, sympathetic to it, but also critical of it. And so this is what we've invited them to talk about, actually. All of the plenary sessions will be in this room. This is the Espace Roi Baudouin, en français, because this belongs to the Francophones. This is the Royal Academy of Belgium, but, this is Belgium, so there are rooms that belong to the Francophones, a room that belongs to the Dutch speakers. This is a French room, so we will speak. We will call it by its French name as it's supposed to be. The rest of the time, the parallel sessions are actually in the actual palace across the garden. There are 3 rooms there that are reserved for us throughout the 2 days. They're called the Rubenszaal, the Lipsiuszaal, and the Stevenszaal in Dutch, because they belong to the Dutch speakers. There will be arrows to point you there, this will be clear. The roundtable on women in discourse theory and populism research will also be on that side in the Rubenszaal, so not here. Coffee and lunch will be in the room next to us, which is called Atrium, for obvious reasons. And then tonight from 8, there will be conference drinks in a cafe called Via Via. This was all communicated to you from 8 o'clock. There are many restaurants close by. You just have your dinner before, and then you join us there. If you want to tweet something, we made a hashtag. I mean, you don't have to make a hashtag. You just say hashtag something, and then you make the hashtag. So there is a hashtag DT Ways Forward. If you would like to tweet something, or I don't know what other things people do with hashtags, use that one. Before giving the floor to our esteemed rector of the Vrije Universiteit Brussel and to our first plenary panel, I need to thank some people. I want to thank the Royal Flemish Academy of Belgium, which is not strictly a person, but nevertheless, for supporting the conference and for letting us organize it in their beautiful palace. You will see this is not so beautiful. The palace inside is excellent. I also want to thank Nico Carpentier for suggesting the original idea to organize an event about discourse theory, also for not running away after suggesting it. So actually being involved in the process. I want to thank Jason Glinos, Yanis Stavrakakis, Ilya Tomanic, and Nico and Jana Goivars, who is there, for putting the program together. I want to thank Ruth Wodak and Michael Frieden for joining us as keynote speakers. I also want to thank Ruth Wodak, Nico, Jason, Yanis, David, and Stephen Griggs, not David and Stephen Griggs, David Howard and Stephen Griggs, for giving great masterclasses yesterday, so we also did that. Pieter Maasele, who is there, for helping out with the Royal Flemish Academy application procedure, and Alice Mazzoni and Karel de Neckere, whom you've seen when you registered, for being there when you registered, and other things. And last but not least, I want to thank, I want to take a bit of more time to thank Jana Goivart, who is there, for all the help in organizing this conference. If it weren't for Jana, we wouldn't be here today, or we might have been here today, but there would still be other stuff in this room, or we might have been here without lunch or without coffee, without abstracts that are put anywhere, and also with a program that looks much less coherent. So it was not only kind of logistical help, but actual co-organizing. And also I would have looked a lot more exhausted and anxious than I do now. So Jana, you've been truly awesome in organizing this stuff, and thank you very, very much for that. So Jana is in the office next to mine, which for her is a disaster, of course. So in the beginning it was okay, once per 2 days. Jana, have you had a look at that, this kind of thing? At the end it was literally every 10 minutes. Jana, did you get an answer from those people? Jana, did you see that email? I will forward you. No, you haven't sent it. Oh, yeah. Okay. Jana, just one more thing. Jana, just one more thing. Just constant barrage of things like that. I think it must have been truly awful. So Jana, for that reason, I think I want to ask just one more thing. Could you please join me on the stage as a co-organizer of the conference? And now that you are here anyway, just one more thing. Could you please introduce the rector of the university? Thank you very much.
So thanks for the introduction. It was very nice helping because, as Benjamin said, it's a very interesting conference, and it was really interesting to help in the organizing parts. And now I will give the word to the rector of our VB, Caroline Pauwels.
Thank you. This is what they call the gender balance. Thank you for taking care of that. I will start with saying things that rectors actually always do. I will start by apologizing because I will have to leave just after the introduction, and I will not be able to stay with you and miss the interesting things. And it is sometimes it's the life of a rector, but I reassure you I'm also going to join other interesting things. But sorry for that. Second, Jana was introducing me, and she was, as I learned, a very good sidekick of Benjamin. I'm not surprised. Jana only last year was my sidekick as a rector, so we organized a kind of young rectoral team, and Jana was my sidekick, so you will hear from her later in some years, I think. And then Benjamin, the metaphor of the table, I like long tables, and with the university we actually organize a long table in the middle of a gallery every year. It's the third year already. And so there's always room at the table of the VUB. So welcome to all of you. I'm very pleased to see how numerous you here are. And I want also to, first of all, welcome Nico Carpentier. I more or less followed you in what you said about Nico having an ID, but I also followed you that Nico never steps down. And so there's an idea, and then people start organizing it, and then Nico is always around. So thank you, Nico. Now, this being said, welcome to Brussels. Welcome to this Discourse Theory Ways Forward conference. And it's a pleasure for me to be here for many reasons. As the rector of the Vrije Universiteit Brussels, but also as a media and communication scholar, I'm happy to see and also very proud to see that our university and the Department of Media and Communication Studies and its research group Desire, when they first created the group, I was very impressed by the name, remember, to host such an exciting event, and that has attracted so many people from different parts of the world. Apart from the vitality of the Vrije Universiteit Brussel that is shown through these kind of events, and actually this evening it's a completely different event because we will be showcasing all our interdisciplinary research in the Opera House La Monnaie on the Homo roboticus. So that's another very interesting topic. But there are many reasons why I'm so happy to be here. First of all, as you already understood, on the personal level, it is nice to open a conference organized by my colleagues Benjamin, Jana, and Nico. Benjamin and Jana are not only my colleagues, but before becoming colleagues, they were students of mine. And that's always nice to see how students become colleagues and to know that they will become better than yourself. So that's very good. But I'm also happy to see Nico again, one of my most dynamic, nomadic colleagues, but also a dear friend, and I think also very important in this community of discourse theory. There's another reason why I'm so happy to be here, and it has to do with complexity. I am not a physician, but I still think that complexity is what keeps social sciences going as well. I have been very inspired by the work of the French philosopher Edgar Morin. And one of the central ideas in Morin's work is that the world is complex and that our academic study of that world needs to take complexity really at heart. And getting my students to approach the world through his paradigm, or as he calls it, heuristics of complexity, has always been one of my central aims as a professor. And so one of the central lessons that we want to teach communication and media media studies students is to avoid easy and simple causal explanations of the world. To be based on technological determinism, economic determinism, political determinism, societal determinism, or based on simplistic thinking about culture, society, and identity. And looking at the program of the conference that you just explained, it seems that my message at least got across to 2 students of mine, which is always a great achievement to reach at least 2. So even though I am not well versed in discourse theory, even though I was surrounded by people who really had a strong discourse in favor of discourse theory, it is clear that this is a field that avoids simplistic explanations of politics, the economy, and other societal spheres. And indeed, it contests such simplistic explanations and has made complexity, contradictions, and contingency, 3 C's, a core feature of our approach to the world. And let me just add that I'm also happy to see Jan in the room, because another student of mine. I don't know if my message got across to you, but I know. But at the same time, the field of discourse theory that engages directly with social reality and that attempts to understand and affect on society, this is really what I think is important in academia. The list of topics dealt with during this conference illustrates this: austerity politics, workplace dynamics, the complexities of populism and resistance to populism, and so on. All of these are areas of major importance to our democracies, I think today, sometimes failing democracies, and the qualities of our societies. Discourse theory is a field that recognizes the deeply political nature of society, its unavoidable contradictions and tensions and power struggles. It does not try to eradicate the political nature from reality, but instead considers it crucial to democracy. As the rector of a university that puts freedom of thinking and freedom of debate central, I can only welcome this. Thirdly, I want to say that I appreciate that this conference makes space for reflection, thank you Benjamin, on gender equality. Gender equality is a focal point of my rectorship, and whilst I get much support from the academic community in this matter, at least in sceneries as these ones, there is also quite some resistance to gender politics and gender policies when you apply it in your own university, also from people from within the university, also from within a university that wants to call it a vrije universiteit. And believe me, there is a long way to go. It is a steep and very difficult learning curve where power struggles between academics and disciplines really are very fierce, also about the legitimacy of gender politics or gender studies. So when people try to abolish it in Hungary, for example, believe me, there are colleagues of ours that also think that gender studies is just not legitimate on its own. So having spoken to Benjamin about this, he told me that organizing this conference had shown him very clearly that there is work left to be done in the field of discourse theory as well, and you were saying this already. I appreciate that the organizers made the effort to strive for a strong representation of women in this conference. And I also appreciate their willingness to reflect critically on the work that remains to be done. For that reason, I applaud the roundtable on gender equality in discourse studies and populism studies that is organized later today. When you were saying at night, I thought, no, they have to talk during the night, but I understood that earlier. I believe that it is important for academics, for us, to continue to reflect on problems with gender equality. These are enduring issues that are much harder to solve than one might want. We will not solve the issue here today, sadly enough, but speaking about it openly, critically, constructively is what we need to continue to do. And this is also a firm commitment of myself. A fourth and final reason why I'm so happy to open this conference is that it is clear and a clear example of the VUB's international character. Internationalism is a key factor to the identity of the Vrije Universiteit Brussel, and as a university that wants to be part and parcel of the multicultural, multilingual and international city of Brussels. Internationalization is core to the policies of universities. It's the only way forward. And I truly see a campus with more than 128 nationalities as a multiplier of knowledge and mutual understanding. I think it's also an effort of peace building, and this seems very post-war and perhaps a post-war discourse. I agree, but at the same time I also profoundly feel the need to cherish this multiculturalism and multilingualism. This conference is first of all an occasion to bring together research from across Europe and the world. But there is more. The conference is organized by this research group, Desire. Desire is financed by the VUB as what we can call an international joint research group. This type of funding was set in motion by my predecessor as rector as a way to structurally strengthen the ties between the VUB and its privileged partners across Europe. Desire bring together researchers from the VUB, the University of Ljubljana, Charles University in Prague, Aristotle University of Thessaloniki, and Essex University. And the success of this conference, all of you being here, really shows the benefits of such international and intense focused collaboration. The University of Ljubljana is also one of the partners in the Utopia European University Network. This European network was launched in December 2018 as an ever-growing, strong collaboration effort between the Vrije Universiteit Brussel, University of Ljubljana, Warwick University, Université Parisienne, the University of Gothenburg, and Pompeu Fabra in Barcelona. The aim of this collaboration is to start long-term partnerships based on jointly developed curricula, very strong and intense research collaboration, and the permanent exchange of students and staff. In fact, it's an answer to the call of Macron to create this European University networks. The deadline for submission of the network is February 28th, so we're also stressed. But the name of Utopia refers to the ambition, a very strong ambition of all partners to realize something that some call naive, but again, I'm a strong believer, a European dream. Not a plan, but a dream. By jointly setting up programs and research collaborations that transcend national borders to have our students move constantly between these 6 partners, not only them, but we will privilege them. We aspire to train Europeans of the future. Ladies and gentlemen, you can see I start my day being happy by kicking off this conference, and I'm grateful to Benjamin, Jana, and Nico for organizing the conference, but I'm also really grateful also to the keynote speakers, the critically reflecting keynote speakers. It's a good idea, I will keep this in mind. But I'm very happy that you are so numerous here in Brussels and so numerous to have a very, I hope, fruitful exchange of ideas and thoughts. So thank you for being here. Wish you a very pleasant day. Thank you.